Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. So we're going to pull into one of the more popular places in Arizona for a lot of snowbirds. Really attraction, the big attraction is the Red Rocks in Sedona. Great bicycling place if you're a high-powered bicycler. And let's take a look. As we approached Sedona, we started to see the red rock that has made this place famous. This red rock runs beyond Sedona to places north like Zion National Park and St. George in Utah. If you look at my travelogue in the Arizona section of my website, where in the third travelogue I talk about the greater Las Vegas area. And in that travelogue, we visited the spectacular red rocks in the Valley of Fire State Park in Nevada, just off of the Interstate 15. There's always a lot of people parking beside the road to hike and bike the trails. The red rock in the rock is iron oxide, created eons ago by mud and sand and the rise and fall of ancient sea levels. When the sea level receded, then the wind dried the mud and rock, and then running water washed the soil away, leaving behind the red rock that we see here today. The contrast in the color really makes this place a scenic place. When you see the lighter colored mountainsides, as you can see here, water has washed these areas out. And it's washed the mountainsides out of the red oxide, leaving the lighter colored rock. Everybody likes to build on a high mountaintop or on the top of a cliff. Entry to this unique and expensive house is by the elevator on the left-hand side. It is probably a nice house, but if you're a sleepwalker, it might not be such a great idea to own this place. Let's just take a little more ride along some of these highways that seem to meander around the Sedona area, up and down valleys. Many of them end up in gated community areas for residents who live there. But the scenery is very unique and enjoyable. These roads and trails can get pretty crowded in the tourist heavy seasons, but there's a lot of people there for a reason, and that's because it is a nice place. I took the camera and put it out the side window of the vehicle as we traveled along. Just a little more of the scenery. Let's just take a look at it and enjoy it a bit. There are scenic views everywhere. I guess that's why there's a lot of people there. Okay, we're taking a curve in the road, and let's see where we go. We're heading in toward the town of Sedona itself. Looks like the road has turned into a 4-lane, and there's more houses around, so we're just on the outskirts of Sedona. Looks like I left my glasses and a paper on the dash of the motorhome as we came into town, but it's a very scenic place. The main highway runs through town, and it is about the only main street in the community, as it is quite narrow in the area. There are 4 or 5 traffic circles that you have to negotiate around, but the traffic moves slow, and There's always people on the streets, much more than the afternoon that we drove through on this particular trip. But it's a nice, classy place, but it is crowded. There really isn't much room for parking, and certainly room for large malls or shopping centers is just not available. Everyone seems to live in expensive and exclusive gated communities found in small valleys in areas surrounding the main part of town. It is bumper to bumper traffic in the summer, with the sidewalks being crowded with pedestrians. However, it's a nice place, and I guess that's why there's a lot of people there. We are coming up to the last traffic circle as we drive north out of town.
Are you going to keep driving out of town?
And the road out of town is quite narrow, and it's there's railing here, but there's a few places where there's no railing and very few places to pull off the two-lane highway to park. But you find places to park where you can. We do enjoy driving into the less traveled backcountry. There are a half dozen ancient heritage sites in this area. We boondocked near one that was south of town. We enjoyed a very informative tour at the Palatki site that was nestled along massive red cliffs and rocks. We parked in the small parking area and were treated to a top-quality guided tour beneath the overhanging cliffs where ancient prehistoric Sinagua people once lived. The first Spaniard explorers who met these people near the Grand Canyon saw no water around, so they called these original Sinagua people the people without water. Many different groups of people have lived in this area over the centuries. Most of the early people lived out on the flat valley floor where they could hunt and plant crops. They hunted the mighty mastodon, as spearheads have been found buried in the skeletal remains of these prehistoric elephant-type animals. They cultivated corn, beans, and squash, all high-protein foods. And they also raised cotton as a trade item. Besides eating the plants and their fruit, plants were sources of medicine, and their bark was used to make sandals, so essential for walking over the rocks and on the spiny needle floor of the high desert here. The people moved to the higher elevations up against the cliffs. We climbed up to where these people lived, and I discovered again that my old knees handle walking up with a lot less pain than having to walk back down again. These cliff overhangs probably gave ancient people some protection from the sun and rain. And here are some of their remains of their stone dwellings. You know, anthropology and archaeology are not exact sciences. Much of it is figured out as on a best guess basis. How people lived and why they did what they did is a lot of guesswork and speculation and theory. The problem is that these ancient people never left us any written records to look at. And furthermore, they never even left us any videos to watch. We have to do a lot of inferences and guesswork and speculation. The dark stain on this red rock cliff is a stain from falling water. The Spanish were wrong. These ancient people were not people without water. In the lower left, you can see us walking to a grotto, which is a cool, wet depression under the rocks that appeared to serve ancient people as a place for meditation and devotional thought, and to paint their artistic expressions. Seeping water over the ages has left unique colorations on the rocks. Here are some of the ancient paintings left on these walls. What was their purpose? What did they mean? This one here has been found in different locations. Was it a woman giving birth to all the animals of the earth? It is all speculation and theory. But ancient people did like to paint their expressions and ideas on the rocks. Our guide offered the theory that these vertical slashes in the rocks might be a place for spirits to live, and it could be a place where the religious leaders might have had an opportunity to communicate with the underworld. It is, of course, all speculation and theory. Is this a dog? It was long before the Spaniards and horses arrived. Here are some other ones here. A cross, but again, long before Christianity and the Spaniards arrived. Let's look at a few more left on the walls of what appears to be a restful, religious, artistic grotto beneath the cliffs used by those of many generations before us. Here is one more wall painting, ancient painting, and we're going to look at a few more red rocks and get ready to head out of Sedona and drive north toward the Grand Canyon. But Sedona has been a great place, a very picturesque place, and we're going to get on the road and head back into Sedona because we're south of Sedona, right in this area. But we'll drive back through Sedona and get on the road north. Just a couple of more pictures of the red rocks. I just couldn't get over the beauty of the place. But we had an enjoyable time. We are just going to pull out of Sedona here. We've had a great time, and several more hours, a few hours, will pull us into the Grand Canyon. So if you liked what you saw, hit the subscribe button. That'll tell you when we'll be able to bring some more videos, including this one on the Grand Canyon coming up. So until then, join us again. We'll see you down the road. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett.